across the board, I mean, let's take TASS out of it, has anyone used a
He said he
facility?
would do that, he hasn't done it.
Because he was making some outlandish accusations that another group only had one Western Wayne player and the majority were from a different district, and that's when I had asked if we could get a roster of who's actually using our facility.
And he said he would, and he didn't do it.
Well, it's for everybody, it's not just for him though.
Yeah, I understand.
I don't know if the others were asked. We do know he was asked.
He was asked.
One of the ways that potentially this could be handled, and I'm just thinking off the top of my head, if you're gonna restrict it, but you still, see, so there are our teams,
Right.
school teams, and then you know, AJ brings up a good point. You have junior Wildcats, you have,
Right.
again, soccer,
We have a lot of school affiliates.
but they're not school affiliated, they have our name, but.
Well, the school
But
students.
they have to be Western Wayne
Well, but
students.
that's different,
Community.
you know, the community piece, right?
Yes.
So it almost comes down to the question of residency.
Okay.
And if you're going to make a distinction, then maybe you look at a percentage of kids on a roster who live here, and you set that at a certain number, maybe it's 100%, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know
yeah,
what it
yeah,
is,
yeah.
and you say
It
that's,
should be 100%
You
of
say
Western Wayne
that's-
kids using the
you
facility.
say that's that.
It should be, it's their parents that pay for the taxes to upkeep that field.
Then,
I agree with the 100%.
so that's fine, and it's just an idea, put an idea.
Yeah,
out there.
because AJ is right, our soccer kids deserve to get on that field as long, and our youth football, they're a part of what.
The only problem that I'll see,
future is.
when I referenced it before, is the Wayne County camps. And before, you know that we, when my father and Mike were coaching, we had kids from Carbondale, we had kids from Forest City,
Okay.
who used the Wayne County camps. And when I was reading this, for groups B and C, which would be sports camps that charge, again, that crosses the stream with Wayne County and then running those commissioner camps here, charging those participants a fee to actually attend the camp. So are we prepared to send Wayne County a bill saying, you wanna run your camp, across the board it's gonna be equal, we have to send them a bill just like we would send anyone else a bill if they're gonna use our facilities. It's gotta be equal, it's gotta be across the board fair.
The next question is this just for turf, or is it for the whole?
I would say the turf is the situation.
Yeah, you're
where we
talking
don't need
basketball,
them on.
exercise center.
Yeah, because, I mean, everywhere in this standard fees, it's for everything. It's for classrooms, it's for auditoriums, gymnasiums, et cetera, for basically utilizing anything at the Western Wayne facility. So, that's a big question.
Now, my
Ready to
point
send
would
them
have
a bill?
been that they don't use the turf field would be the only thing off limit to anybody else except for students of Western Wayne. Again, football, soccer, youth soccer, then, good point. But we don't need anybody else on that field, or we're gonna end up, it's gonna get beat up. We're lucky we got the paint off when we sprayed it off last time. And after they urinated down there, he shouldn't have been allowed to use the field again until we met and had a discussion.
So the question I have is if
Now, we need to
TAS,
fix it soon.
TAS or Upper 90 or whoever wants to come and use a practice field, can they do that?
Other than the turf.
The right,
I wouldn't have a problem with that either, other than the turf. I mean, I don't know how everybody else feels, but,
I mean, if these allegations are true and they defile our school property, I would not allow them back on our facility whatsoever.
thank you. That's what
That's the problem, we gotta prove it.
Exactly.
Well, our AD is the one that I had talked to.
Well, before they came, there was no urine. After they came, there was urine.
There you go. That's proof, right?
But were there other groups in the vicinity,
That's the question.
which time it was held?
They were
their
pretty,
homes
hey,
are.
just to throw, this junior high track and field was working out that day. And
Was it
they,
a school day? Was it a
it was a
weekend?
Saturday,
It was a Saturday.
and this group was already there on the Saturday. And they tried to compromise, because that group said, without lending it, whoever was their spokesperson said, we have the field. And the coach, one of Justin's coaches was there, and said, well, we need the field too, we have to get this junior high pro team ready for whatever was going on the following week. And so they ended up in a compromise, and Cindy told me, she said they were kicking soccer balls right at the kids that were our kids that were running around the track. Oh, also, that they were sitting or doing something on the soccer nets,
Okay.
the goals. And Cindy told me they bent them. Now, I didn't see them, but I'm gonna take Cindy's word for it, that's her job.
We have the prerogative to not allow, we have the prerogative to say no to anyone though, right? 'Cause that-
Sure we do. And actually, where I used to be, we voted on use of facilities when I was over the hill years ago.
So if we
And I
have,
think boards should vote on facilities because we see we have a problem with the use of our facilities.
in our policy, we ought to have a line that says we can deny anyone,
Yeah.
just period.
I have a
There shouldn't need to be a discussion.
If,
Yeah.
if our track team was there practicing,
Yeah.
why wasn't the facility open for their use?
I don't know, Tom. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought Cindy and
To me, if
Dave
there's a
Robinson
school
were gonna be
team
here
there,
today.
So
they
that
got
should
it.
be a
Well,
precedent.
logically, well, number one would take precedence, but number two, if our kids as a team are here for a scheduled practice, now that's a key word is scheduled.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we do informal and unscheduled things all the time, and that's okay, and that's good too. But when we do that, and our AD doesn't know, there's nothing we can do about that. But if it's scheduled and it was a practice, number one, why did they have the facility? Number two, why wasn't there somebody here with a key to open the restroom? Because if our kids are here, they should have access to our full facility.
Facilities, sure.
So the question
Do
is.
we have a line or we could?
They were practicing for districts, so they wanted to get the championship. And they were here on Saturday, even if it was unforeseen.
Yeah.
It was good preparation for the success they've had
And
all season.
that's I believe what happened. I don't believe they were scheduled, but because of how
We're gonna
they
get ready.
I think my point is,
That's fine.
when they're here, even if it's a small group, a
Yeah.
subset of the team, let's say they just wanna work out throwers or whatever it is, the AD should know about it,
Yeah.
Of course.
and she doesn't always know about it.
Yeah.
That's how it goes on coaches.
I think that group should be banned from all facilities. I mean, they urinated on our facilities. I mean, that is the utmost disrespect to those that have given them a chance with taxpayer dollars to use our facility.
I understand what you're saying, and if they did that, I don't disagree with you, but I don't.
Well, did Cindy talk to you, Clay? Did Cindy talk to you or anybody then besides myself?
Cindy
What are
talked-
we doing here?
Cindy talked to
Well,
the
did she say they urinated on the field? I believe they
There
did.
was urine in the field house.
In the
Who did
field
it?
house, Yeah.
Who knows?
Oh, okay, so we have a bunch of kids from Wilkes-Barre and all over the place, and we have 5 Western Wayne kids, and we don't know who urinated all over the building. You know what? I say nobody uses the facility. I say the gentleman who came in here and lied again for the second time shouldn't use the facilities at all. I agree with AJ. Because you know what, he should have been here. It was his responsibility to this school district to be here with those students. And I don't think we need kids coming up from Coughlin and all over, using our Western Wayne AstroTurf, our turf. It's for our kids. That's what we paid for it for. It's gone too far right now. It's gone too far.
I don't get, I don't disagree.
Can we put a line in the policy that says that all parties use the facilities at our discretion, period? And then why should we have to give a reason? Why should we have to give a reason to deny
I
something?
think the mere fact that they're filling out an application for use implies it's at our
Discretion.
discretion.
Yeah, thank you.
So there should be, we shouldn't need to prove that somebody did this or that. We just-
We've denied that,
Yeah.
and somebody has come here and accused us of improper behavior, and now was permitted to be here.
Yeah, but did
That's
they,
the issue. That's the problem.
we have to prove that.
We've said no
Yeah,
to him before,
right,
And
and he comes here and he was told, yes, that he can be there.
right,
And now we have another issue.
right. Thank you.
We've done this already.
Yeah, so 2 strikes and you're out.
He can come in here and scream and,
Well, you know what, he came in here and he screamed prior to this too, David, if you
understand.
recall. He was abusing the AD and some of our other staff
that's
members
correct,
as if they worked for him and they were nobody.
that's
Hey,
right.
a little respect too. The guy's disrespectful. And he's not even there supervising the students that he told us he would be there on the field.
His graciousness is in question at this point as well, so.
I think we have 2 issues. One is use of the turf, and I would agree that should be for our school sanctioned programs. I have no problem with that, but I think that Mr. Wynn's got to be called on the carpet for this, and the approval of use will probably be retracted based on what's happened
It happened under his,
under his office. And I think we've got 2 separate issues, and I think we address them in that manner. Moving forward, approval of use, if everybody agrees, and again, I'm just getting some thoughts out there on the table. One, approval of use of the turf field is for school sanctioned programs only. And then approval of all fields or facilities, whether it's a basketball camp or whatever, then that's at our discretion still, but we need to call in Mr. Lynn regarding what's been reported to have happened under his direction. So,
So those things, like, what is it, Western, whatever, the football program there, Junior Wildcats, that's out?
No,
No.
no, that's not.
no, that, come through the proper channels, it'll be approved for, you know, if it's not truly a school sanction, and again, maybe we have to justify it by saying, as Dr. Waco said, 90% of the participants are Western Wayne students, or maybe it's 100%.
I know every year Keenan uses the soccer field one night for a soccer game,
The turf field.
the turf field.
Presumably they'll pay for that privilege at this point, right? Or will they be able to use the turf field?
Well, what we're saying here, whatever we do, we gotta make sure that we have the language proper, so it don't come back.
I don't mind.
Well,
if-
that's
if-
a case where the, I'm sorry.
No, just as long as, you know, if it comes before the board and let the board have approval, I think that would be the primary.
That's probably a case where the percentage of participants would be a benefit, because I would venture to say that 80 to 85% of their students are Western Wayne residents. I
Can
could be
we-
wrong, you
Yeah,
know, I know there's
can we
something.
put in
all
a
the
line
time,
where,
but
There are.
where special exceptions can occur based on the board's approval? Or-
well, the last sentence in every one of those can be at the board's discretion.
There you go.
And I think, as you just mentioned about, we should approve them, the board should approve them on, you know, I mean,
On a
sometimes.
case-by-case basis,
Well, yeah, just put them on the agenda, yeah,
at least we know
we know
Who's
what's
using
going
it?
on, who's using them, and what we
or
are.
who wanted to use it.
And we can do that as when we see that facilities use report every month, that can become a motion for approval of the facilities use, rather than after the fact, before the fact. So applications that are in prior to the board meeting on that first Monday of the month, they're on a separate sheet under facilities use. And if everything's all well and good, we can approve it blanket. If we see one item on there, you can make a motion and it says, you know, I approve it accepting item 5 or accepting item 7, whatever it is. We can still do that and get those in line before the fact rather than after the fact.
Now, can I throw one more thing out there? Cindy mentioned that he still has dates that were okay for June, and I think me and you had that same conversation, you mentioned it. Are we gonna allow him to go use that facility for June, because, or are we gonna tell him because of this situation that occurred, that it's
What Al
over with?
says is number 2, we're,
Okay, because that's what I'd like to see done also.
I think-
You know, he had his second chance,
Extended use of the facilities,
Yeah.
definitely.
suspect we could go down and use Evergreen if we wanted.
What was that?
Suspect he could go down and use the field at Evergreen if he wanted. Plenty of woods next to the field there.
Bears in them woods.
There is bears in there.
I know, just saw him today.
There is bears in
I know, the kids did the other day.
So then you need to be directed to page 6 of the 707 policy. The committee came up with this language the last time.
Go ahead.
Ready to take the big.
So
That's right on.
now, this interprets school group, which is defined earlier in the policy. So you have to be okay with that, because that school group, not community group. School group is just school,
School students.
not anybody outside organization. So that would include your biddy or your junior wildcats or anything else. So that language, if you want to allow it, we need to change,
Yes,
is what I'm saying.
yeah,
As it reads now, you will only allow school,
soccer, football, high school, junior high, but at junior high, then it would stop, is what you're telling the board, right? Okay.
Because that's the difference between school sponsored and school affiliated, because those kids are residents of the district, they have to provide their addresses to become a part of that league. and they have to be students at Western Wayne. So that definitively needs to be ensured that they have access to
Yeah,
the facility.
yeah, so I would be okay, as AJ's saying, and I think Al mentioned about the youth, Western Wayne youth programs with the soccer, football, or whatever. There are kids also, they're the future of those programs, and that field, that turf field's got a lot.
I think we even need to be cognizant of the senior projects
You
too.
just described them, how did you say that?
Senior projects run teams.
Those
Our
groups?
youth groups,
Senior projects run teams.
football,
They about to go
soccer.
away, senior
Community youth
projects?
groups?
Yeah, community, thank you.
Well, until it's 100%, I would want to make sure that that's protected.
We're still thinking,
Yeah, we're just talking about
why
one
not
time.
residency requirements?
Okay, no, that's
I know
fine.
what's gonna happen.
I think it goes a little from Keystones before we will happen.
Yeah, if you don't have residency requirements.
Someone to define,
As determined appropriate by the board. Again,
Well, they should all be Western Wayne students.
Without board approval, or, unless board approval.
100% Western Wayne students. I think it was-
I wouldn't make it 100%.
Okay, no, that's
I would
fine.
rule out King Christian Academy.
Okay.
And certainly they're,
I would say, majority, you need to,
The-
I don't wanna get-
Now, go to classification A on page 4. Such organizations shall have the majority of membership composed of district residents or have headquarters located in the district.
it's already said it then.
Examples include.
well, it says or have its headquarters.
So you can change that.
Headquarters could be here.
And that would actually entail King Christian, because their headquarters is in the district. But Dr. Cole, the only thing I was making a point about are the senior projects that we still have. And kids do run sport camps for their senior projects, that's something we have to be cognizant as well. Because they are not school well, they're a member of the school district, but if they're gonna be running that camp for that requirement to graduate, we have to make sure that we're not going there.
That's, if a student's doing that, we typically allow use of facility for that.
I just wanna make sure that that's in,
Wouldn't that pretty much, that's a good point, but wouldn't that be pretty much be Western Wayne kids anyway? I mean, if one of our seniors is going there, it would be.
yeah.
yes.
But again, it's not school sponsored, going to school.
Yeah, I see
It's
what
on
you're
its own
saying.
little island there, so I just wanna make sure that the kids aren't being hurt.
Yeah.
And then the participants aren't being hurt, who are.
Yeah, the only ones we want hurt are the outsiders or the insider that uses the outside students that come and use our field and then abuse it. And that's the bottom line, because everything else works. Everything else works. We never have a problem with our own.
Again, the only other thing is the charging for the facilities that I see a problem with.
Now, this policy here only establishes that you will, it establishes what they are. So if you know, that's the schedule of fees and everything, the guidelines, that can come later. But this policy just establishes that you will charge fees in accordance to the group structure. So that's where, if you don't want that to happen, then that needs to go.
Well, I think in our financial dilemma that we're in, I think charging for the use of our facilities well, I don't know.
Well, we still have the upkeep and everything.
I think before we get off, I want to go back to what you said on classification A. We need to change that or to an and. Majority of its membership composed of district residents and have its headquarters. Because if we say or have its headquarters, again, Mr. Lynn could be here and have 100 students from an outlying district and come in here, so.
Yeah, that's a good point, so well.
Huge
Go on, yeah, it is a huge point.
So,
part of what's gonna happen.
so, is everybody in agreement? Do I see that right?
Both are required.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not or, it's
Correct.
gotta be and.
So that would change the language on page 6. Say the turf athletic field is for school group and groups in classification A only.
Hey, Clay, you still have an emphasis on percentages or to further, come on, help us out.
I
here,
think
because-
that if the statement there is, that the children have residence in the district,
Yes.
it's not incumbent upon you to put a number on that.
This is listing the majority of membership anyway.
1%.
What about when we run our craft fairs and car shows and things like that? That's another,
Well, they're not on the turf field,
yeah, they're still using, I mean.
but
using
yeah,
our
but there's a
cafeteria,
charge there,
using our gymnasium.
that's where that fee should come in for stuff like that. Although it
Are
helps
we
for
going, are we going
fundraisers.
to detract people from using Western facilities that have used it for decades?
Yeah, we don't wanna,
Charge them.
Yeah.
we don't wanna prohibit our community from having access
This,
to our
it
facilities.
says a huge potential to do that. When you start charging them for facility use, whether it be the band parents, whether it be a car show, whether it be an art fair that we have the art and craft
Well,
show.
again, when we set the fee schedule, we have the opportunity to waive the fee at any time. All right. and
I
so-
just don't, if you
Yeah.
charge one and then don't charge another, I mean,
And
Well,
again,
then we'll
It's a
use, yeah,
very
you know,
situation,
so that'll be a good
so-
discussion when we go to do that, we'll, depend, you know, depending on where we
There's a
go.
difference in mentality too, because when you pay for something,
that's the interest.
that's right, you,
Yeah.
all of a sudden, they owe me. Whenever you're given something, it's granted. There's a different way of thinking, you know?
Yeah.
We pay for a custodian to clean that up, let them clean it up, versus these people let us use the place,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know?
But anyway, this all started with the use of the turf field, and the bottom line is, we don't need anybody using the turf field except for Western Wayne.
We got that covered.
And if, I don't have a problem with you using other field, the grass fields or whatever, you know, but I don't know where that leads us. I guess it still should be the same, all our fields are for the Western Wayne students, and,
we add language on a case-by-case basis, that the district will decide if and when a fee will be established for the utilization of our facilities. We're not then hamstrung to a certain figure, and then we can have the discretion on what we will decide to charge them, if we decide at all.
We also have to decide if, because it does say in here that use is granted by the principal at the discretion of the superintendent. Are we gonna make it part of the policy that it's board level approval required?
yeah, I would like to do
Because
that. Yeah.
if that's the case, then timeline becomes an issue too, that we have insufficient time to review it prior to the event, whatever it is. So,
So people need to be notified if they want to use the facility, that there is a new policy.
all right, and right now, they can theoretically submit it today for use on Friday. If the principal's in and the superintendent's in, everybody approves it, it could happen within days.
That's why it's gotta be a month.
This says within 2 weeks.
Okay, is it in there? I don't recall that.
Yeah, we try to do yearly requests between July 1 and July 31 for the upcoming year, and then within 2 weeks of the event. Requests received unless your time may not be able to be processed.
Even those that have a normal weekend that they normally have something, they're booking it a year out.
And that's
They're not waiting until the last second for something that
They know
might be,
that.
not on the fly, but might occur, like, they're gonna have an elementary track meet at the end of June that Justin always runs. We know that that's
Craft
on.
fair's an annual,
Yeah, exactly.
so on and so forth.
You would probably have to
The
change that.
dance recital and, you know, they do the dance recital every spring.
No more.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
Margaret has a comment, I think.
I just have a question. Why isn't a security deposit being requested? If there was a security deposit that they were requesting.